Back. I am back. How are we doing? Esquire, what's good with you? What's happening? Waiting for YouTube to connect. And there we go. We are now going to be live on YouTube. Yeah, I got you, Kakashi. All right. Let me see. So tonight will not be a story mode game stream. Once a month, we like to kind of just make sure that we are tapping in with some of the current events going on here in the country, or just period. And so what we do is a roundup. We usually do it on Wednesday, so it's got the name the Wednesday Roundup. That's not the case this week. It is Monday, and it's the last Monday of April. So we're gonna go through all, a couple of the news stories that I've accumulated for this month. It's not gonna be this is not supposed to be this big comprehensive thing where Captain Trippz tells you everything that you need to know that happened in April 2024. No, I mean, we could try to do that, but I kind of feel like we'd be splitting hairs with things that may or may not be going on. And on top of that, it's just like, I want to not tell you what's going on, but I want to foster in conversation your interest in current events so that you may look for it yourself. That's it. I mean, I was a journalism undergrad back in the day. It's a long time now, but going from that to marketing, it broke the matrix for me, because I realized, like, you got your truth, right? And then you got what sells. And what sells is not necessarily the truth, but it plays and goes everywhere before what is known as the truth can come out. And sometimes the truth does come out at a later time. Sometimes it may come out years down the line, a month later, 2 months later. But the news of the truth always kind of whimpers out when the news or the marketing of a big untrue thing was very loud. And that's just what I noticed over my time. Okay, give me 1 second to get this description up. Ooh. All right, so there we go. This, I would have to say, I don't know what this is. I guess news? I guess so. Yeah. But we're here now, man. Thank y'all so much for coming through. Everybody out there today, I really do appreciate y'all. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Captain Trippz. I am a variety content creator here on Twitch and YouTube. We've been chopping it up here on Twitch, just kicking back, talking about my birthday. My birthday is coming up on Wednesday. There may not be a stream Wednesday. I'm still trying to figure that out. But we're here today, man. And as is the last Monday in April, I wanted to touch base and chop it up with y'all about April's news stories. So we're going to do this thing called the Roundup. I can't call it the Wednesday Roundup, but it's throwing me off. But I have you guys here. You got something planned for your birthday? I'm going to get a massage, my boy. I'm going to get a sports massage, and I'm going to the float tank. I'm going to do those for my birthday. I'm really just planning on it being a really chill day. I know people like to make their birthdays really like, oh, I'm going to do this and that and this. I have 3 things that I have in mind to do for my birthday. First of all, I'm doing a 2-day juice fast beforehand. So I'm going to break fast. That's got to happen. That's got to happen. Sports massage, float tank, take a trip. That's what I'm doing. My phone is probably gonna be on some sort of do not disturb so that I'll get the calls at my own pace, but I won't. Like, I hate my phone ringing. I hate that. I got the watch and everything, and I turn half the notifications off my watch because I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good. And the past few weeks have just been a case where it's like, the way everything is going, I just really want to chill for my actual birthday. Now, for that week, I'm gonna see all the loved ones. I'm gonna see Luna. I'm gonna see the homies. I'm gonna be out. It's a Cinco de Mayo festival. My shoes are getting here. The fit ready. Come on, now, come on. But as from actual birthday, I'm just chilling. Like, my mama gonna be able to call me. My family gonna be able to reach me. But you know what I like to do on my birthday? I like to get real emotional, and I call my friends and tell them how much I love them. But yeah, man, we're here. My watch stay on D&D because overstimulation like a motherfucker. Esquire, when I got this watch, and every text message was coming to my fucking wrist, I'm like, bruh, I can't do shit. It just was crazy to me. It just was super crazy to me. But yeah. I'd like to thank y'all for coming through. I don't know if y'all saw the graphic I put on X earlier with my little spinning around, my little anchor face. That's gonna be a thing in the future. So just stay tuned to that. Stay tuned with that. All right, so let me figure out where the news is for this thing, because all right, I think we're about ready. With the news. Y'all ready for some news? Not that one, damn it. Well, not that one either. All right. What up, Corey? Love that iPhones have a button for D&D. Big win when I switched over. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of things. All right, let me move this over so y'all can see. So, April 2024. One of the biggest stories to come out this month was the actual, like, we ain't talking about it happen no more. It happened. They really told TikTok, hey, bruh, you coming around here talking to our kids, telling them things we don't want them to know, and it's making us nervous. You gotta go. And the way they did this is like super interesting because no one is really talking about the fact that it got bipartisan support. Like, this was a thing that was originally said under a different president. It didn't happen underneath him. And for the longest, it didn't happen under the sitting president. But right here, right now, they said, we got to put our foot down. This TikTok shit got to go. Now, y'all got to tell me, because I'm not on TikTok whatsoever. What is it about TikTok that made these niggas so mad? I really am curious. I don't know if y'all know. I have my own theories about it, but I think it really has a lot to do with just, like, again, hearts and minds. They're going to tell you it's about security, right? It's about keeping your information safe from foreign adversaries that could do whatever the hell they want to with your information. And as you go through all of the arguments about this shit, I want you to keep that in mind, right? I want you to keep in mind that it's a social media site, but the only difference between this one and the last hot one is it's owned by a company owned in another country. Now, I'm gonna try to play it both sides here. Because of my former occupation, I work closely with the government, and I have never downloaded TikTok. It's not ever gonna happen at this point because it's about to go bye-bye. But like, it was a mandate. Like, no one in government should have this on their phones, right? So ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, it's a company over there. And so, like, when you look at business laws over there, China can pretty much just pull up and say, hey, that's ours now. And really, there's nothing nobody can do anything about. Like, it's just the cost of doing business in a country that is authoritarian, right? But as a mirror angle to that, what does it look like that we say, hey, you got to sell this shit or you can't come here? That's not the call is coming from in the house. Who's supposed to buy it? TikTok is literally the number one social media platform. What is the monetary value of TikTok? And who is supposed to be the one that's supposed to pay that? Because I'll be honest with you, the only ones that could are people who own social media sites right now. And when you look at the Metas, when you look at the X's, it would be people with money who want to leverage the platform that they built with TikTok. Now, I've never used TikTok, but I'll say for the past 3, 4, 5 years, on regular instance, I get a lot of TikToks. The information that I see on TikTok, because I'm not tuned into an algorithm, y'all not parsing my interests to make a very specific timeline for me. So I kind of get what everyone else has, which is a lot of the very, very, very popular shit. And then just shit that would have gone viral for a specific subset. It's a lot of information on TikTok, bro. Like, the difference between a TikTok to me and like other social media platforms is that, like, we get on Instagram to bullshit. It's some entertainment, it's some dance, it's a funny video, something like that. But with TikTok, there is a 50-50 chance that it's a worthless video. And it could be a video outlining all of the descendants between George Washington and his favorite slave until now. And it would be information that no one would have ever heard before and would be like, oh my God, he had children with that slave? That's crazy. There's people. Like, it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to get a funny video of someone dancing with their baby and someone really making a skit about how the CIA has their hands in civil unrest all throughout South America, throughout history. And then now those chickens are coming home to roost and nobody wants to deal with it. I think that as a social media platform, I think that's what it's supposed to be. I think here we have kind of bastardized the positive potential for what a social media platform could be. So the fact that someone else didn't, and people are using it to spread awareness about serious issues, enlighten others about injustice and misdeeds, and get some history shit off, and it go viral, and everybody be talking about it, because that is now the watering hole. They were just like, nah. The government will tell you that at any point in time, the owners of a social media site at any point in time can do whatever they want to with your data. And so specifically in the instance here, there is a fear that even though I believe ByteDance is from Taiwan, I don't want to just say it. I mean, nope, they're not. They're strictly Chinese. They're not even in Taiwan. They're 100% Chinese. And like, I don't know if you guys know, this country and China ain't best friends. They're not very close at all. So there's a lot of tensions going on in that part of the world, and specifically over Taiwan. And the U.S. is doing a lot of things to keep Taiwan not afloat. They are their own country, but they are heavily making sure that things go right with Taiwan because that is their positioning in that part of the world. A lot of other people are afraid of what China could do. And there's an app that all of the American kids are using and all of their data and who they are and what they represent. And there's a possibility that someone could show them some information that will put the U.S. in bad light, and it's owned by another country. Huh. And so the thought of you need to either sell it or you can't do business here is really interesting because it ain't the social media platform that you're afraid of. It's who has power over it. And so, yeah, China, your enemy, quote unquote, you don't want them to have it. But I guess for the life of me, I don't understand what the importance over people's privacy and data is when it comes down to TikTok versus all of the other social media sites. Everybody get hacked every day. If you go on Twitter right now and post something that it don't have to get no likes, actually. Bots be liking hella shit I put up first. But then don't let you put something up that is actually getting some kind of traction. And then it's going to be pussy in bio. It's hella catfishes. It's hella disinformation, misinformation campaigns going on American-owned social media sites. And it'd be like, y'all actually don't care about that at all. When somebody gets scammed and my social security number end up somewhere, y'all don't actually be really trying to make that harder for them. So is it so much that you're trying to keep us safe? Or are you afraid of the plays that someone else could be making because you know what kind of plays are being made on our data and our information right now? It's not the information itself they're concerned about. It's who is getting that information. Yeah. I think after the last election, the government is concerned about misinformation due to this election. They don't care about us. It can't be that. It can't be they care about misinformation because there's misinformation on the internet all day, every day. Did y'all know during COVID that there was a possibility of somebody actually setting up an office for making sure shit put on the internet was not like everything had to be true, but you can't just be out here saying the wildest shit and then nobody be like, that's not right. And it persists. Like, we have a whole subsect of our country that watches a news channel that in the courts have had to say, bro, this ain't news. We just talking and it's entertainment. But they won't say that to the people who are watching it. And so I feel like that in and of itself is an issue. You got niggas taking this shit for truth. And specifically, the way they indemnify themselves is say, oh yeah, werewolves are real and there's one behind you. There's actually not any werewolves at all. I'm telling this person this because I want them afraid, naked and afraid. And then our advertisers take advantage of that by selling them items that make them feel safer. We ratchet up the xenophobia when anybody that doesn't look like them comes around so they can only trust people who look like them. And in an ever-changing country, that's going to be less and less people. And I just get confused over what we really doing here. Because if you actually sit and watch shit over time, shit really don't change, bro. Shit really don't change. I'm a history fan. That's what really got me into any and everything I like. History. I used to watch the History Channel when it was actually history. Come on, man. One of the best times to be alive. And now they run Ancient Aliens reruns and Pawn Stars reruns all day, every day? That's so interesting. So there's no more history to be talked about. I don't think the government is able to tell ByteDance to take down the misinformation. That isn't what they want, i.e. like they do with Twitter and Facebook. But that's the thing. What is it that you're going to classify as misinformation? That's the biggest question, right? That honestly, that question alone is probably why I'm not a very religious person. I'm very spiritual. I'm not very religious because the second I found out they had a conference to figure out what was what and what wasn't gonna be in the Bible, I said, so you mean to tell me niggas be lying? And you can say that in every subsect about everything, but it's just certain things I just don't think that we should be lying about. And the first one being religion, but we're not talking about that. Information is information. I feel like, cool, it's one thing that Instagram puts that little badge at the bottom of anything that they know not to be true, right? But where do we go about when that shit is playing? You muted and you have a nigga pop up video and be like, hey, this actually isn't true because yada 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 yada, and the video still play. Or you got what you came for, they got your hook, but you're passing out the information to everyone who could have ever even been misinformed, which would, I don't know. It's a lot easier to sit on stream and make up ideas and say this is what you should do. But it's so interesting to be in a world where the people who make decisions for us say, hey, kids have been getting shot up in schools for the past 25 years. We can't do shit about guns because the niggas who own the gun companies pay us. We went over to another country, took all their opium, made all these opioids, addicted all these people, made all these problems, increased crime. But the people who did that, we're going to make sure that they don't go bankrupt. Yeah, they had all of these things. They had like wings of museums named after them for their philanthropy. Because when you make so much money, you just happen to give it away to a lot of different places, just not the places that you fuck up when you do the actual crimes. We're going to make sure there's a loophole so that you don't lose all of your wealth when those chickens come home to roost. And we're not going to do anything to prevent that from happening again. Can I just be honest for a second? And this is an aside. I do that a lot. I apologize. But the shit that happened with the opioids and how they were, all the doctors were prescribing opioids to everybody. And then it got outside the legal realms and outside of scripts and it came to all this other shit. We're going to enter the same cycle when it comes down to these weight loss drugs. It just is completely unregulated, and it's fucking wild to me how many different companies and different hustles are designed to have the same fucking hook. Like me, I'm in the gym. I'm a little, you know, I'm a little stocky. I ain't gonna lie, but niggas really be telling me every day, showing me drugs that can make me skinny, and there's no basis for that. On social media, there's no basis for that. And there's no regulation saying that you can't do that, shouldn't do that, or to cap it off at a certain point in time. When companies put profit over everything, your money talk. And guess who got money? Niggas who want to sell you fat loss drugs to fuck up your life. Anyway, okay. So ByteDance. All the shit happens. All these people go through. We don't have no gun control. We don't have no protection from pharmaceutical companies. We don't have no rent control. We don't have insurances in place so Boeing can stop putting as little parts on their planes to keep it together for a couple flights as possible. There's nothing protecting consumers. There's nothing protecting students, except Joe Biden is paying people's loans. So I will say that that is a thing. There's nothing to protect mothers. There's nothing to protect the endangered, the downtrodden. None of that exists. Profits is bumping though. That's the only thing that fucking matter. Profits is bumping though. That shit is wild to me, man. So ByteDance responded and said, nigga, y'all see us in hell. Y'all see us in hell before we sell this company. I saw somebody today, and literally today, they said, "Oh, so that proves, oh, you're not gonna have a retirement, no Social Security." Yeah, I mean, they want you to work as so long as possible. It ain't even about work anymore. They want the production. They want, and I be trying not to go on these like anti-capitalist tangents and shit, but that's what it is, bro. Like, they want to keep the wheel churning. And it ain't necessarily about making sure that you're better off or your people are better off after you. It's just about putting bodies in the machine and making that thing go. So right now is going to be a super interesting time because we've already had a lot of issues when it came down to higher education and people just not seeing the worth in it. And we're going to talk about a little later about what's going on right now and how even the group that is primed to take advantage of higher education is going to be like, what the fuck is this? But we'll talk about that later. Yeah, man. The machine has to keep going. So ByteDance said no. So TikTok is going to shut down. Like that, it's an inevitability. And I probably said that word wrong because when it's a double thing, I say it too many times. Inevitability. There we go. So what does that mean? That means no TikTok. But what's the next thing that's going to pop up? People are already looking for that, whatever that may be, whether it's another platform. A lot of people think that we're going to be decentralized, and I think that's going to be a thing too. I think we're going to have a decentralized internet, and we're going to have to figure out how to navigate from bubble to bubble in order just to get the truth. And I don't think that should be the case. I really don't. So if I have any users of TikTok that are out in the chat, go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you're in the chat right now, what do you think? Are you currently using TikTok? Are you kind of going through a scrolling binge right now before you can anymore? Are you trying to connect with any of your favorite creators on other platforms? I heard some people say they bringing Vine back instead of TikTok. Vine should have never left. I'll be honest with you. Vine should have never left. Obviously, I don't think it could be 6 seconds anymore. I think that we've evolved past the 6-second video. I would be interested to see what they're going to do with it. But who was Vine even owned by? Because that'll inform what they're going to do to Vine before it gets back in your hands. I don't think that we're ever going to, because they didn't design social media for a way for you to enrich yourself. And they've had to deal with the consequences of that since like around the pandemic. When niggas was like sharing stock tips on Clubhouse and people were making $250,000, $1 million stock plays back in the day, they had Robinhood fuck their whole operation up. Do y'all remember what happened with Robinhood? Like, these niggas is still mad at Robinhood for stopping the trading on those GameStop AMC plays. Like, that was 3-4 years ago. And obviously Robinhood is still a thing, but I don't know if they're growing. And these days, I think a company will take a hit because they expect people to forget about it and need them more than them. I don't have this queued up here, but if you were on Twitter today and you saw that it's a gardening game coming out soon. For some reason, this gardening game decided what they wanted to do was hold on. What the gardening game figured that they wanted to do was, hey, if there's an issue going on with titty physics in one game, we'll just ride that wave and it'll promote our gardening game that not only, but the majority of players are women. Women love us talking about titty physics. And they shot themselves in the foot. But since we are talking about titty physics, I figure it's time. Let's go ahead and talk about what the fuck is going on with Stellar Blade. Wait, what? Nessa, you didn't see that. Yeah, that was the topic for today. And because it happened like Saturday. Hold on. Yep. Okay, yep. So this is the game in question. It's FarmFolks. Oh, that tweet is gone. Of course it is. This game is called FarmFolks. It is a farmulation sim. It is coming out pretty soon. And so what we're about to talk about now is going to be the Elder Blade thing. Long story short, Stellar Blade, when it came out, the young lady had a specific outfit that had a V cut, very deep V cut, and her thighs were all out. Game comes out, and I think they patched it in a way that she had a little bit more cloth on her. People are mad. And so, because she doesn't have as much cleavage, I think they were talking about breast jiggle physics, which inspired FarmFolks to make this tweet. All right, folks, it's time for some serious game development talk. We're tinkering with character physics in FarmFolks. Burning question, which version has the perfect breast jiggle physics? And I don't know about y'all, but like, I don't see a lot of dudes playing farm sims that would have been like, hell yeah, titty jiggling. Titty jiggling, I love that shit. I got my hoe all right. They really misjudged their audience that much? It seems so, Nemo. It seems so. Of course, they've come out and apologized 2 days later. And I get it. It's Monday. It's Monday, but whatever. All right. So then we got Stellar Blade. And I can I be honest? I don't really know what everything is about. And I do not want to go to that nigga's Twitter page. Grums. I do not want to go to his Twitter page to really understand what. All right, let's look at it. I want to read this description, but I do not want to go to the GoFundMe or the petition page or any of that shit. I really don't. But this is what they got going on. This is what these people. This is their king.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey, and I think this petition needs to come through to have all of the creators who
Please uncensor Stellar Blade. Games would be fun that way. Oh boy.
Because it doesn't appeal, because it appeals to the male gaze. They really need to stop using that. Sony, you need to make Shift Up cook.
So I lack understanding of what the
Hi,
actual
Jeffrey.
problem is. I really do. I really do. I just don't understand the Crusades. I don't.
To be. I signed this petition because I believe Stellar Blade should not be censored. One of my favorite games of all time is Nier Automata by Yoko Taro. This game is not censored, and I can look up the skirt of 2B. Please support this petition. Please support. I signed this petition.
All right. I'm willing to admit I did take a nap before stream. Did this nigga just say in Nier Automatica, I was able to look up 2B's dress. So all right, man. I don't know what the fuck is going on out there, bro. But something need to give, man. Something bad is happening right now in America. And we really need to stop and think about what the fuck is going on. Because, hey, man, this is Idiocracy meets Fallout. And I don't want to be here for that, dog. Please. Please. Niggas signing petitions so they can look up a video game character skirt. Is what? There's a trophy for looking up her skirt, Nits? They all look like they jack off with Vaseline. Nah, he looked like he used like a brush. He had me going at first, even with the t-shirt. He may be a troll. Maybe? Hold, please? He kissed that poster? I can't, nah. Nah, man. No, this is not what we doing, brother.
How dare Sony censor Stellar Blade? What am I going to do with myself? Oh my god. I don't get no pussy. What am I going to do with myself? I am not going to play the game. I am going to unsubscribe to Sony subscription services because I am that upset.
They trolling, man. They gotta be trolling, bro. But I don't know what's going on, man. A brush is crazy. Hey, I don't make the rules. People be into some wild shit. These them people that be behind them Twitter accounts arguing all day. Like, think about that. Exactly. And that's why I'm just like, hey, we can't do it no more, man. Like, I'm not gonna talk to strangers on it. I posted this morning, but like, real talk, there's a person in this space that over the course of the last year has followed me and unfollowed me on Instagram and Twitter like 3 or 4 times. I recently came to understand that, like, you know, they mad I ain't posting. Then why keep coming back? This nigga said, I need another Finney shoot, goddammit. I mean, if y'all want to donate to a possible Fenty shoot at DreamCon, keep in mind that we got the exclamation point dream in the chat, so you can hit that. It's got the link to the Ko-Fi where we're taking donations. I had somebody do that to me last year, and I bet it's the same person. That would suck. Ugh. Gotta make sure that oven's still cold. Hey, man, it just ain't happening, man. It just ain't happening over here at all. But either or, man, it's just, I came to realize that people got a variety of difference of social training coming up. And I be trying to, like, because y'all know I'm Aggie. Y'all know I'm Aggie, so I be trying to be like, all right, I'm tripping. But after a certain point, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not tripping. And this happened to me in elementary school where I had to cuss a kid out because he kept looking at me. And the teacher didn't even get mad at me because I was justified. So I feel like I'm justified here, all right? They justified me in the 3rd grade, so they justified me for life. Anyway, on to the next story, I feel like. So I feel like at the beginning of the month, we were all really stuck on one thing. One thing kind of came to mind and was most prominent. The NCAA women's basketball tournament was raw as fuck, actually. I think I watched that tournament. It wasn't the first time because I've watched championship games before, but I'm talking about like actual quarterfinal matchups. Yeah, it was. It was. And that was the weekend that I went home and was with my family that weekend. And it just was a really awesome thing to be able to have and be able to pull up on ESPN Plus. Shout out to, I think I got that shit through Spotify, maybe? I don't know. Shout out Spotify. Spotify paying for all that shit. But either or, having the opportunity to watch those games as I played my own games, it was really great, man. And so for the first time ever, the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship beat the men's games in ratings for the first time ever. It also doesn't help that the men's game comes on Monday night at like 10 o'clock. And it's like, even when there's years that we are excited about it, I'm like, bro, that game come on late as fuck. And it's college basketball. They not gonna do no shit that's colder than LeBron. Like, but the women's game is different though. I feel like the women's game, number one, it's just them girls play pure ball, bro. Like I don't know how to explain it to you, but like it's about the sport than it is the brand of the person. Other than one person, I'm not gonna lie. The only person that they were more about their brand this year when it came down to the tournament than anything else was Caitlin Clark, because I mean she made that transition, and I'll give her props, man. She did what she did, and within the written history, she is the number one scorer. But I also will posit that there are players that were not of that written history that we should acknowledge as well, especially since we telling the tale, right? But either or, Caitlin Clark did what she did. They did not win. Shout out to the Gamecocks. And shout out to the media making it more about Iowa than the Gamecocks even after the game was over. So, of course, Caitlin Clark went number one to the Indiana Fever into the WNBA. I want to see this momentum build. I mean, I think I was in Bordy McBoard's chat one of these weeks, and she was talking about it, man. The women's game is just outstanding. We know of more players than I think we may have ever known of in the past. And at the same time, when it comes down to the men's game, I don't know none of those guys. I'll be honest with y'all. So we'll have to see if it's the Caitlin Clark effect or just tides changing when it comes down to what it is that we want from the game of basketball. I think I was reading last week somewhere, and do y'all know the number one demo that goes to women's basketball games? It's black men. Black men. And I could definitely see that because the way there's an appreciation for the game. Black men specifically, Nemo. And I think I want to challenge myself that when the season starts, I think I do want to go to an Atlanta Dream game. I would. The timing be real interesting because they really be having games in the middle of the day. It's like they have to like rent out the arena on a crazy, wild schedule. But I want to see what's up this year. An average of 14.8 million people turned in to watch the men's final, UConn and Purdue, and that was Monday night. The women's college basketball championship got 18.7 million on just two networks, ABC and ESPN. So let's also factor in that it was not on the same networks, and it was Monday night at night. But shout out to Caitlin Clark, man. I mean, she did her thing. When it comes down to the next stage, I'd be interested to see kind of what goes on next, because one thing we do know is that there is a pay disparity that is going on within not only men and women's sports, but just men and women, period. Let's just be honest about it. Women get paid, less than men. And then if you are a woman that your identity intersects with any other identity, it's even less. And so when you add that, and then you add sports and how sports is set up, and then you add money and ads and marketing, and historically the story has been, well, no one watches that. All you got to do is play a better game and people would watch it. You don't get paid because no one goes. You guys don't really have any fans. And so we're now at a time where I would be interested to see if any of the momentum that Caitlin Clark has, conjured goes anywhere. If you look here at the rookie contract, bro, for 4 years for the number one pick, $338,000, and she making there's no way Caitlin Clark should be making less money than me a year, bro. That's wild as fuck. That's wild as fuck. Is y'all for real? All right, who was the number one NBA draft pick last year. Let's look at that. Victor Wembanyama. All right. Let's look at what his contract will look. I'm glad I got his name right. Okay. So, Caitlin Clark on a rookie contract is getting $338,000 for 4 years. Victor Wembanyama did a 4-year contract as well. His contract is worth $55,174,766. Now, I'm not saying Victor Wembanyama should be getting paid less. I'm just saying, for the fact that Caitlin Clark is homegrown, watched her grow up, she can't make $50 million, 55, 60. I mean, but the people who are in the decision-making chair has said, hey, for sure, Victor Wembanyama is going to generate more money for San Antonio, the NBA. He is also an international prospect, which is very appealing in their eyes because the NBA as a business, they know they can only grow so much here in the States, and they feel like they've done that. So the only way to grow is then in international community. So you're going to start seeing more prominent international players, but that's a whole nother thing. I ain't saying he should get less. I'm just saying she should get more. And Nessa, I'm acknowledging she did sign a $20 million deal with Nike, but that is a subsidization. Because Victor Wembanyama, what's his Nike contract? $100 million. I'm just saying, when you actually put the information on the table in front of you, I'm not here to say whether something is good or bad, even though I am going to say something. I'm just here to put the information in front of you. And you can draw your own conclusions, but that just sounds crazy to me. You know what else sounds crazy to me? This story here. If you've heard of this story, you'll be as confused as I am, but I really just wanted to drive home the point of these are people who are trying to be in positions to make decisions for everyone. And they be doing the wildest shit like this. So where does the money come from? From ticket and TV rights? The entity of the WNBA is not as big as the NBA. That's just a thing. The WNBA started in the 90s. The NBA was like around forever. 75 years now. So it's not that the WNBA has a trash product or will never ever turn a profit. It's just that they're not in the season of maturation yet. But we're approaching that. I think we're hitting the apex and we're turning that corner because it's a lot that's going on in women's sports, period. The population, women just feel empowered. When y'all watch gymnastics, y'all don't watch men's gymnastics, do you? The women, well, that's what we be tuning into. So like there are specific things that we expect women to excel in, but I think that's going to expand so much. And we're just in this period where not really. Right. Now I feel you. So I think they're going to get there. I think that I remember, vaguely, them launching, but like as far as who's running the actual league, I don't know if I honestly feel like the I don't know. I really don't know what a solution for that is. I don't think it's being run correctly, possibly. Yeah, I figured that's what you were meaning. That's a thank you though. Because I feel like better business decisions should be made when it comes down to the WNBA. WNBA games happen during the middle of the summer where there's a lull for basketball, but they happen during the middle of the day, or they're not as accessible to people as they should be, or let's just say there's just not a lot of interest. How do you drum up interest? You gotta hit the streets. You gotta have some kind of campaign. Is there ever any like big campaign for not only the WNBA but any of its properties that drive interest in those things? I don't think it happens, and I don't think it happens enough. Not like the NBA don't even need the market. Motherfuckers be talking about it all year round, you know? So I think as people become bigger fans of the sport, and not just basketball, I think I like women's basketball because I like basketball, and I like to see it work on a high level. And when I know I watch the NBA, I'm not saying that they don't run plays or anything, but I'm just saying it's different from what they can do with their bodies and momentum, and then you got your stars and everything else, and the way everything plays out in the NBA is a little different than what they may be doing in the WNBA. Because it's a skill game. Like, I'm enjoying now that the All-Star break for the NBA incorporates a lot of the WNBA players because they deserve the platform for it. And honestly, as you watch basketball and become a basketball fan, one should funnel into the other and back and forth. But it's just not the way it happens because of historical biases. And honestly, I just feel like I hope we're turning a corner. The last NBA player I knew before this year was Lisa Leslie. Feel like that was 20 years ago. They definitely don't have the marketing. So we've got Candace, who is retiring, man. Well, man, me also as a man, I just am a fan of women. So Candace Parker, man, been a fan of hers for a long time. She's retiring, man. It's just amazing. I don't know. Here in Atlanta, a couple years ago, we were in like the playoffs and the finals like 3 years in a row, 2-3 years in a row. And then Angel McCoughtry left and it fell apart and they had to rebuild from there. You found about her via TikTok recently? Yeah. And then how close or intertwined are you to sports, period, Yana? That's also a factor, so. But yeah, man, I'm gonna see what's up. I'm gonna try to see what's up this year. Shout out to the WNBA, shout out to women's sports, period. And they need they just dues. That's just how I see it. Candace Parker, like I said, is retiring today. One of my other goats retired a couple years ago for love. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But yeah. The game is changing, and these newer faces are coming in, and they already have their pre-built storylines. I will say this, and this will be my last thing about women's basketball, is the reason that this year in women's college basketball was so lit was because the storylines existed before the season started. People hated LSU already, not because of anything they did from the first tip-off of their first game this year. They already hated them. People were not cheering for Caitlin Clark because she had a really good year this year. They were already a fan, and she was already building toward that record, right? Really good ball being played. The fucking Gamecocks went undefeated, bro. Like, it's so much things that were happening across the sport, and I think a lot of that happened because of the continuity that was going on. So the fact that the men's game kind of exists solely for there to be some kind of buffer time before a player to play for a college before they get drafted. If you need that to stand up, then I guess, you know. And then to the players that developed through all 4 years, I love them too. But the game rewards. Oh, you had a really good year this year? Hurry up and go. Leave right now. And so you don't really get that continuity like you would or should. But anyway, that's basketball. Trump VP contender Kristi Noem responds to backlash over story about killing her dog. I wanted that to sit there for a second so y'all can see what it said before I said anything about it. I know the NBA folks, they shoved that down my throat. We doing the news today. Anyway, we talking about people killing dogs. Here you go. That's crazy, Yana. I want to read this to you because I don't want to talk about it until y'all hear it, so y'all can actually respond. All right. So hold on. This is NPR. So shout out to NPR. Kristi Noem, a contender for Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate, defended herself after her story saying she had killed a dog on her farm drew condemnation from Democrats and animal rights groups. In her forthcoming memoir, a book she wrote her fucking self, the South Dakota governor describes killing an untrainable family dog after a hunting trip, reported The Guardian, which it said it obtained a copy of the book. No going back. The truth on what's wrong with politics and how we move America forward. That's a mouthful. Kind of like those NBA players being shoved down throats. Noem said that Cricket, a 14-month-old wire-haired pointer, was a female with an aggressive personality, according to The Guardian. During a pheasant hunting trip, the dog went out of her mind with excitement and later attacked another family's chickens. And when she went to grab Cricket, Noem says, the dog bit her. I hated that dog, Noem wrote in the excerpt. The dog was dangerous to anyone she came in contact with and less than worthless as a hunting dog. I realized I had to put her down, she wrote. The newspaper did not say when Noem said the incident occurred. According to The Guardian, Noem said that she included the grisly story to demonstrate her readiness in politics to do what needs to be done, even if it's difficult, messy, and ugly. Why do people in politics keep telling on themselves? It's a cult of personality. It's something in them that's like, I'm here, so anything I did to get here is well within what it takes to get here. And so she saw it as, and I can see how she saw it as, oh, well, I was very decisive, and I made a decision to do what needed to be done. And I can't tell you what to do with your dog. I really can't. I am newer to the concept that dogs and pets, period, are their own things. I didn't grow up with we had fish. And so, like, own personalities, own brains, own decisions, own emotions, all that. Seeing dogs cry fucked me up. So, would I have done it? No. Would I have thought what she thought, that the dog was less than worthless as a hunting dog? As a hunting dog, cool. So you just got fired from your job. That's fine. But like, what about just like, okay, well, you can't hunt, but just why don't you go on you're on a farm. It's big enough for the dog to roam, can't it? She couldn't rehome the dog, something, you know? I feel like that's a very easy thing for a person to do. Like, hey, I don't want this dog anymore. But there could have been a bunch of different uses for the dog other than a hunting dog before you killed it. Let it be a pet, you know? I don't know. And because I feel like they're saying she gonna be Trump running mate, I feel like there's some kind of, people think they're Teflon, and I don't think that's really the case. What'd she say? On Friday, Noem defended her decision to put down the dog. We love animals, but tough decisions like this happen all the time on a farm. Sadly, we just had to put down 3 horses a few weeks ago that have been in our family for 25 years. But I also feel like if it's the fact that she says she shot the dog herself, did she do it herself? Oh, this is so wild because look at this intro. In 1952, a Republican candidate for vice president, Richard Nixon, stirred criticism by admitting to receiving a dog, Checkers, as a political gift. In 2012, as the Republican presidential nominee, Mitt Romney was pilloried for tying a dog, Seamus, to the roof of the family car for a cross-country trip. I do remember that shit happening. They tied that dog to the roof of the car, and niggas was like, "This is so inhumane." And the justification was like, I think the dog was sick and had diarrhea, so it kept shitting. And so like, yeah, the dog ain't gonna be in the back with us shitting, so it's gonna ride on the roof. But we went from that to 12 years later, this lady said, yeah, I just straight up killed this dog. And people like, hey, it's her dog. She get to do what she want to do with it. And it's like, idiocracy meets fallout. That's what I'm afraid of. Don't do that to us, please. All right, so I just want to see. By taking Cricket on a pheasant hunt with older dogs, Noem says she hopes to calm the young dog down and begin to teach her how to behave. Unfortunately, Cricket ruined the hunt, going out of her mind with excitement, chasing all those birds and having the time of her life. Can y'all hold on? Unfortunately, Cricket ruined the hunt, going out of her mind with excitement, chasing all those birds and having the time of her life. She killed a dog for having the time of its life. This person wants to make decisions for you and me. Noem describes calling Cricket, then using an electronic collar to attempt to bring her under control. Nothing worked. She said, I shocked the dog, and it did not work. She was still having fun. Nothing worked. Then, on the way home after the hunt, as Noem stopped to talk to a local family, Cricket escaped Noem's truck and attacked the family's chickens, grabbing one chicken at a time, crunching it to death with one bite, then dropping it to attack another. Cricket, the untrainable dog, Noem writes, behaved like a trained assassin. Weren't you? By taking Cricket on a pheasant hunt with older dogs, Noem says she hoped to calm the young dog down and begin to teach her how to behave. Later that day, Cricket escaped Noem's truck and attacked the family's chickens, grabbing one chicken at a time, crunching it to death with one bite, then dropping it to attack another. Cricket, the untrainable dog, Noem writes, behaved like a trained assassin. I don't know, Slime. I don't know. This lady want to be our vice president, man. When Noem finally grabbed Cricket, she says the dog whipped around to bite me. Then, as the chicken's owner wept, Noem repeatedly apologized, wrote the Shark family a check for the price they asked, then helped him dispose of the carcasses littering the scene of the crime. Through it all, Noem says, Cricket was the picture of pure joy. I hated that dog, Noem writes, adding that Cricket had proved herself untrainable, dangerous to anyone she came in contact with, and less than worthless as a hunting dog. At that moment, I realized I had to put her down. Noem, who also represented her state in Congress for 8 years, got her gun and then led Cricket to a gravel pit. It was not a pleasant job, she writes, but it had to be done. And after it was done, I realized another unpleasant job needed to be done. Damn, she didn't finish with that? What the fuck? Her family, she writes, also owned a male goat that was nasty and mean because it hadn't been castrated. Furthermore, the goat smelled disgusting, musky, rancid, and loved to chase Noem's children, knocking them down and ruining their clothes. Noem decided to kill the goat because she killed the dog. But though she dragged him to the gravel pit, the goat jumped as she shot and therefore survived the wound. She only stopped because a construction crew was watching her kill the animals. She want to be our vice president now. This is in her. This is in her book. This is in her book. She wrote it herself. She put this in herself. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. While it doesn't surprise me that Bernie Sanders is a critic of the ongoing genocide going on in Gaza, it surprises me that he was the first to speak out. Canada? What about Canada? Oh, y'all going to Mexico or Canada? South America got a lot of different places. A lot of different places. Canada, I fear y'all go to Canada and it's just the same thing with a nice accent. Little Europe. Belize? Yeah, that could work. That could work. So Bernie Sanders says that after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted a video on Wednesday criticizing ongoing campus protests across the U.S. as anti-Semitic, Sanders responded with a video of his own, directly refuting the Prime Minister's statement. In an interview with All Things Considered on NPR, the independent lawmaker said that he felt the need to respond because Netanyahu, in his mind, has tried to deflect attention from that horrendous reality of the genocide to talk about anti-Semitism, to deflect away from what he's doing. In my view, and I think the view of most Americans now, Israel's response has been grossly disproportionate. Gaza has 2.2 million people, mostly very poor Palestinians, and over the last 6 months, 33,000 people have been killed, 77,000 people have been wounded, 2/3 of whom are women and children. He says, anti-Semitism has always existed. It exists today. And you're right. It is getting worse. Islamophobia is getting worse. And we're living at a time when bigotry is on the rise. And I hope that all of us condemn all forms of bigotry, including anti-Semitism. I can agree with that, definitely. But to suggest that when you have a significant majority of the American people who, among other things, do not want to support more U.S. military aid to Netanyahu's war machine, we are not going to suggest that all of those people are anti-Semitic. The overwhelming majority of the people who are protesting, who feel strongly about this issue, do not like Hamas. They understand Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they are not anti-Semitic. They are disgusted by what is going on in Gaza right now, which, among other things, is not only, to my mind, immoral, it is clearly illegal. It is breaking the U.S. law. We should not be funding Netanyahu's war machine. I agree with everything he said, and I think it also adds weight that it's Bernie Sanders who's saying this, because he is who he is. And we're at a time where, like, certain people are the only people who can come out and be like, nah, that's not this. They're the only ones that can really correct action here, because a lot is being done and said to make it seem like things are anti-Semitic that they are not. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to use this as my segue into like what's going on. This was updated today. So this is as student protesters get arrested, they risk being banned from campus too. And so before we get started in this whole subject, I'm gonna wait for number one for us to come back from ad break, man. But I said this the other day on stream, I think last Wednesday when we were playing Hellblade, because I saw everything kind of peeking into the news cycle. Because I'll be honest, I've only got so many spoons, and I kind of can't give it to everything, but at the same time, I like to know what's going on. So, history keeps repeating itself. That's a really good way to put it, Atiana. My connection with everything kind of comes back from even like I started protesting during like Mike Brown, and it's so interesting to see a shift from what was allowable and acceptable and approved, and everybody understood that this is protest and a form of protest, and so what is legally allowed now and approved and not looked down upon. And it could be the same exact action, but things are night and day different, because it wasn't even the first time there were protests. Like that was just the wave that I caught, but protest has been a part of this country since the beginning. You got the Martin Luther King, quote about protests, but honestly, like when it comes down to it, is people would rather have a protest than a riot. And I'll just be honest, like when you outlaw protests, you only make way for a riot, and it's kind of like they're putting us in a kill box, or allowing us to go into a kill box. And it's like, if you make this, and that illegal, and only leave this approved muted way to voice my displeasure, and it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't have fangs, I'm not going to keep taking that approach. I'm going to do something else, whether the legality of it is in question or not. Anyway, so I marched, I ain't gonna say what, doing what, where, but from that to like, even y'all remember like the Occupy Wall Street movement, when they weren't even like marching or protesting. It was like sit-ins, a lot of, how do I say, this energy like started amassing, and it didn't really hit like it was supposed to, because nothing got done. And so people think that dissipated and it went away, and it really didn't. It just got funneled into other avenues. And so like, it's wild to me that the barest expression, which is you just saying, coming out somewhere and being out somewhere, disrupting things, is so frowned upon. Because like, do you know how worse it could get? I think you really should let people have this before it turns into something else, when people feel like they're unheard. This country is built on protest. Straight up. Straight up, I've been emboldened and hearted at seeing the youth come up and do their thing. I ain't even gonna just say youth; it's people. It's all kind of people out there. There are Jewish people who are protesting as well, and so like again, the quickness with which they label it a thing, it's interesting because people automatically, yep, I'm on your side, you got it, but it prevents us from having a conversation and a dialogue about, so what is allowed in the spirit of, this is wrong, I think this is wrong, and I'm going to do civil disobedience, because you should have the right to do that. But people feel like their convenience means more than someone else's rights. And then there we have a problem, right? That's where a lot of these things come on. Like somewhere, I feel like they passed a law somewhere to say, hey, if you hit a protester in your car because they blocking the street, you won't go to jail. And I just kind of feel like, huh? Meanwhile, when white supremacists march through the streets, they let them move freely. They don't be tear gassing them. They put up the barricades and everything. Hey, it's wild, but let's talk about the students, man. As student protesters get arrested, they risk being banned from campus too. So this is going to be added incentive or disincentive to not protest. And honestly, a campus protest, they've been doing that forever, which we're going to get back to later. But either or, pro-Palestinian demonstrators continue to turn out at schools across the country despite the risk of detention and suspension, with nearly 300 more protesters arrested over the weekend. On Sunday, pro-Palestinian protesters and pro-Israeli protesters clashed at the University of California, Los Angeles, so UCLA, y'all could have just said that, leading to what university leaders described as physical altercations, prompting them to increase security measures on campus. 12 protesters, including 9 students, were arrested at the University of Mary Washington after refusing to vacate an encampment on its Fredericksburg, Virginia campus. University President Troy Pano said in a statement that health and safety concerns had emerged on Saturday after protesters invited the off-campus public to join the encampment. Elsewhere in the state, an unknown number of protesters were arrested at Virginia Tech University in the early hours of Monday morning, according to the Washington Post. NPR has reached out to the university for more information. The school warned of heavy police activity around the Graduate Life Center in a series of posts on Twitter, starting at just after 10 p.m. and announced around 3:30 a.m. that the incident has stabilized. Social media footage shows protesters chanting at police as they lead people into multiple white vans. Protests at George Washington University in D.C. are stretching into their 5th day on Monday, the last day of class for the semester, after a tense weekend culminating in a clash between protesters and police. Students first set up an encampment on University Yard on Thursday and later launched a second one on nearby H Street, shout out to H Street, after the school put up barricades to restrict access, so they would not let the public in. As the student protests become the protests, because there are more people who are not students that want to participate, they are blocking that from happening. So they are literally trying to not feed the flames of the protest. You don't put new people in, don't bring people who are more organized in, and you're not able to also provide resources for these people. So I see that is a tactic that is being done. They're trying to stall them out, Debo. You can't get shit in. Even if you're a student, they probably are gonna heavily like barricade that area. So if you leave or not there right now, you can't get in there or to there or bring anything through there. It's super wild. George Washington officials said in a statement early Monday that a group of approximately 200 protesters from across the DMV, including professional organizers, activists, and university students, have joined the unauthorized encampment on our campus. This is an egregious violation of community trust and goes far beyond the boundaries of free expression and the right to protest. The university will use every avenue available to ensure those involved are held accountable for their actions. Columbia gives protesters a deadline to disperse or be suspended. Now, Columbia, I feel like that's where it really set off, because that's where they started having like the actual police come and clear things out, which was unheard of at the time. Like, they were insulated from coming on campus because they had their own things. But now it seems as though, you know, the university and the cities are working hand in hand to make sure that this nuisance of protest gets taken off campus as soon as possible. It's just interesting. It's just really interesting to see, because we tout ourselves as this beacon of expression and freedom. And they kind of say, hey, you go to a pretty nice school. Don't think that you're downtrodden, and don't think that you're going to help them at all. And that's a lot. I've also seen that too. A lot of conversation trying to discourage people from actually protesting at all. But across the board, seeing the tide change, like as this goes on, and people are like, this is still happening. This is still happening, man. This is still happening. Mapping pro-Palestine college campus protests around the world. So, I mean, I guess this is a timeline. So you have, starting mid-month, 100 protesters were arrested at Columbia University. That's when it started. Then on the 22nd, they said that classes would be held in hybrid mode until the end of the spring semester, just to avoid people having to come in and see that, right? What are the protesters demanding? They're calling for Columbia. Students and faculty members at Columbia are calling for their university to divest. That means take their money for, like as you invest and you give money to, you divest and take money from corporations that profit from Israel's war on Gaza, which has now killed more than 34,400 people and injured at least 77,500. Where are the protests happening? I love how Al Jazeera broke this down. Large-scale protests on university grounds have spilled over at least 50 other campuses around the world, including Yale, Virginia Tech, University of Texas at Austin, and University of California at Berkeley. We got some protests happening in Australia, University of Melbourne, University of Sydney, Europe holding it down. Shout out to Europe, because they really get rowdy. La Sapienza in Rome, Sciences Po Sorbonne in Paris, University College London, University of Warwick, University of Leeds. All right. Shout out to Concordia University and McGill University in Montreal. But yeah, you see the states here. That's kind of where it's popped off. At least the ones that they're counting as large scale. So let's keep that in mind. In Boston, Tufts, Emerson, Boston University, Harvard, MIT, Yale and Hartford, Brown University, University of Connecticut, Cornell, the New School, Columbia, NYU, Fashion Institute. Come on, Fashion Institute. City College. Let's go, City College. Princeton, Swarthmore, UMBC in Baltimore, American University, Georgetown University, George Washington University, University of Pittsburgh, Ohio State University, University of Michigan, Michigan State University at East Lansing, Vanderbilt, Indiana University, Bloomington, Washington University, UT Dallas, UT Arlington, UT Austin, UT San Antonio, Rice University, University of New Mexico, University of Colorado, Arizona State, USC LA, UC Berkeley, Stanford, California State Polytechnic, Humboldt. Humboldt, I heard be getting down, bro. I heard Humboldt really be getting down for real. But also, I have to give credit and acknowledgement to Emory University here in Atlanta, holding it the fuck down. Students, faculty out there really just walking the walk, man. I commend y'all. I throw my support to y'all. It just, yeah, it's for real out here, I feel like. And it's weird, man. The world is changing in so many different ways. You've got this going on. You've got people getting richer, people getting poorer. I was going to talk about this a little earlier, but with homelessness on the rise, the Supreme Court weighs bans on sleeping outdoors. And this is the point that we're going to get, and it just like doesn't fucking make sense to me. Who even wants this? Again, this is a nuisance issue, if that. But if we're going to allow rents to rise the way that they have, people are going to fall out. People are going to fall out the bottom. And I just don't understand. If we're not going to do anything for these people, we're also going to make it harder for them to exist as they are. Like, I live here in Atlanta, and we've got a homeless population. A couple of years ago, under the main underpass, that like I-20 is on stilts over like another highway. And so like on these loop-de-loops, these twisty turns downtown, the homeless set up because there's a huge outdoor grassy area. I think grass is probably more comfortable than sleeping on concrete. So they set up tents and things out there. They ran them people out of there, bro, and then put big ass boulders so they wouldn't come back. And it's like we dealing with the inconvenience of seeing these people suffer rather than the actual causes that are making these people suffer. And now we're saying, on top of that, you could go to jail. We were talking earlier about the machine needs bodies to feed it. And I really think that this is part of that. Like criminalizing homelessness for people who don't have a choice. What are we doing? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. What are we doing? We're criminalizing a lot of things. We're making a lot of things that were very elementary that we should be able to do, voice our opinions, suffer in private, and we're making it everyone's business. The people who be talking about, we don't want the state doing all this, are doing the things that they don't want the state to do, but they just doing it first, I guess. I don't know. I'm a guy who just started a fast earlier today, so I don't like take my word as bond. And really, I shouldn't take my word as law about any of these things. If y'all have your own opinions, I would love to hear them in the chat, whether it be the chat or the comments below, whatever you would like to do. But bodies for the machines and felons can't vote. So silent bodies then. Make it so where Montana is the state that gets to decide what happens in New York City. It's weird. Why do we want that? What does that need? Like who benefits from that? Questions need to be asked. I shouldn't be the only one asking questions. We all should. And that's what this whole we call it the Wednesday roundup because it's usually on Wednesday, but I call it just the roundup now. That's what I want us to do. Just ask questions like, what does this mean? Because this is connected to that, which is connected to that, which is connected to that. And I feel like we just need to follow the pieces. Yo, that boy Drunken Buddha came in through with the raid. I feel like we started streaming around the same time. Why are you done streaming, sir? Huh? I have an 8 a.m. meeting. He only streaming so he can fold clothes. Got a call with some folks in Dubai. All right, big money. Love it. Anyway, we're talking about the news. We actually were just getting on to our last news story of the day. This is something that I do once a month. Also, first off, before we even get back started, welcome into all the Raiders. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Captain Trippz. I am a variety content creator here on Twitch, and I'm also on YouTube. Actually, both of them right now. And what we are doing right now is our monthly roundup of all, not all, some news stories that happened within the month of April. Tonight we talked about Caitlin Clark going to the WNBA and us hoping that changes the disparity in pay. We also talked about the TikTok ban. We talked about a potential running mate for Donald Trump murdering her dog because it did what she trained it to do, and she shot it herself in a gravel pit. We also talked about the student protests a minute ago, and Bernie Sanders speaking out against the protests automatically being labeled as anti-Semitic. So if I missed anything in the chat, y'all are welcome to jump in and let people know as well. But yeah, Buddha, I hope you enjoyed, ironing your clothes, ironing and folding clothes, whatever you needed to do. And as you need to wind down for your meeting tomorrow, I appreciate you bringing everybody in. Let me get back to this right here. So the last story that we're going to touch on tonight is regarding homelessness on the rise. Supreme Court weighs bans on sleeping outdoors. The Supreme Court wrestled with major questions about the growing issue of homelessness on Monday, this is last week, as it considered whether cities can punish people for sleeping outside when shelter space is lacking. It's the most significant case before the High Court in decades on the issue, and comes as record numbers of people are without a permanent place to live in the United States. The case started in the rural Oregon town of Grants Pass, which began fining people $295 for sleeping outside as the cost of housing escalated and tents sprung up in the city's public parks. My nigga, if I could pay a ticket for $295, I would be in a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. No say what. Bernie also wouldn't call it genocide and defended Israel's right to defend itself. That's not surprising, but that also wasn't in the story that I read. But it's not surprising. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Cover bases and all that, but either or. Case started in Oregon. The San Francisco-based U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, because that's how things work. They go through circuit courts, appeal courts, all that good stuff, struck down the law under its holding that banning camping in places without enough shelter beds amounts to cruel and unusual punishment. I agree. That's a ruling that I can get behind, I'll be honest with you. The justices appeared to be leaning toward a narrow ruling in the case after hearing arguments that showed the stark terms of the debate over homelessness in western states like California, which is home to 1/3 of the country's homeless population. Where do we put them if every city, every village, every town lacks compassion and passes a law identical to this? Where are they supposed to sleep? Are they supposed to kill themselves not sleeping? Good question. I'm not going to read what all the justices, because I guess they already saw the case but haven't ruled on it. The court is expected to decide the case by the end of June. I want to also read this. Homelessness in the United States grew a dramatic 12% last year to its highest reported levels, as soaring rents and a decline in coronavirus pandemic assistance combined to put housing out of reach for more people. More than 650,000 people are estimated to be homeless, the most since the country began using the yearly point-in-time survey in 2007. Nearly half of them sleep outside. Older adults, LGBTQ plus people, and people of color are disproportionately affected, advocates said. In Oregon, a lack of mental health and addiction resources has also helped fuel the crisis. The state has some of the highest rates of homelessness and drug addiction in the nation and ranks near the bottom in access to treatment, federal data shows. They're all going to jail. That's the plan to do this. They need a slave class, and that's what prison workers are. We were talking about that earlier. You know, I wasn't trying to lean super duper hard into the conspiracy leanings, but that's what it is. And like, we need to stop playing like that's not the case, because it is. We're gonna, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Our ways into something big, and I don't think that big necessarily means good in this case. I think that we need to act with empathy for people who are not in our shoes more often, and then the people who make these decisions. We were just again reading the story about this lady who they are saying may be a serious potential running mate for a person running for the presidency, killed her own dog when the dog was having too much fun and, quote, having the time of its life. That dog wasn't hurting nobody. It killed some chickens. I will say that. Pay for the chickens, let the dog be the dog, and then just go about. But you train the dog to be a pheasant hunter. It saw something that looked like a pheasant and hunted it. Attempted murder of a goat, and the only reason you didn't kill the goat is because the goat jumped. And then when you went to go shoot the goat again, you seen some people looking at you like, oh, maybe I need to chill. And then wrote about it years later. I don't know, man. We need more empathy, and we need more people who use empathy in places of import, who make decisions, because this is just crazy. But either or, man. Those were my stories for April 2024. Is there anything that happened this month that y'all for sure want to touch on before we get out of here? Y'all let me know. I know we're in an ad break right now. Everybody on YouTube, I super duper appreciate y'all coming through for this. I'm going to try to do these things consistently. We've been doing them on Twitch. I'm not going to lie to you. We've been doing them on Twitch. The YouTube, I don't know how I felt about that, but I was a little nervous. But I feel like we can go ahead and start sharing it with our family. Now, if we start acting up and some hateration, holleration in the comments, we're going to turn those off. What's some good news, Dio? What's up? FCC reinstated net neutrality now. If it happens or does anything. If it actually happens or does anything. I did see that was one of the stories that you guys did put in the group, the Discord. And I was gonna bring it up. I just didn't get to it. I don't think. It's been so much. Y'all put a lot in that channel in the Discord, and I want to thank y'all. There were some stories that I wanted to touch on, like the California women's prison, but that I'm trying to like keep it light some months, or lighter some months. The non-compete agreements also happened this month, getting banned. Shout out to that. Net neutrality. Let's see what we're talking about. Yes, the FCC reinstates net neutrality and a bloated internet service providers. Major internet service providers once again will have to abide by a set of robust rules of the road, prohibiting them from blocking or throttling traffic, as the FCC today reinstated net neutrality regulations. Yes. Yeah, that's a big deal. Let me get a round of applause. Yeah, man. Okay. So also PSA, don't drink those influencer prime drinks. They have plastic coating in them that companies use to make clothes waterproof. Well, I'll tell you right now, I was never ever going to drink one of those because of who makes it. Be honest with you. Secondly, also my manager told me her kids were drinking them. I'm like, okay, cool. That'll be something I never touch. Little white kids running to go get it from off the shelves. What do I need to be drinking it for? Airlines now have to give refunds for late or cancel flights. Fuck yes. It's because the niggas got hold. Niggas got hold over this past like year or two as them flights been creeping up and up and up. And then y'all remember last year, they was canceling like hella flights. I'm talking about fuck Christmas. They was canceling flights for half of the year, including Christmas and New Year's. And it's like, damn, when I booked this flight and y'all overbook it in the first place, I don't even know if I have a seat. Y'all just like, I hope somebody come and we keep the money. And it's just like, it's crazy as shit that you can make definite plans to go and be somewhere and they tell you, hey, we're not able to do this. The thing that we're not talking about here is the labor issues that they're having in the aviation community, whether it be pilots or flight attendants or grounds crew or maintenance crew. All of them motherfuckers is important, because if Bowie is gonna halfway put together a plane and tell a nigga to get on it, y'all need to keep making sure that motherfucker keep moving. That's all I know. They have a lot of caffeine and sugar in them. I'm surprised parents allow their kids to drink them. Man, you know these parents do not be reading what the fuck is in these drinks, man. Literally, this lady told me, oh yeah, my sons drink that Jake Paul drink. And I'm like, what is that? And she showed it to me and like, oh, word? You let your sons consume Jake Paul stuff? And like you want and are cool with them doing things that he promotes? And that's when I knew, that's not for me. That's not for me. It's not for me. Oh, man. So, yeah. April is winding down. I appreciate y'all running through these stories with me once again. Speaking of Jake, is that fight still on? That's a great timing. Number one, the fight is still on. And now the fight is not an exhibition fight anymore. This is an actual sanctioned boxing match. I don't think that's a good thing. I personally don't think that's a good thing, because I think it allows Jake to possibly rig this in his favor, which he was going to do regardless, and then get a possible win on Mike Tyson. And also, like, can he fight somebody else, bro? Like, why are you going after, why are you fighting all these, like, black athletes? What's up? What you got? You got an issue? Who sanctioned this? They're really turning boxing into the WWE. That's what all the comments that I've been seeing say. And now my whole thing is, if you actually want to be a boxer, cool, that's fine. When he beat Tommy Fury, cool, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, but go fucking box people and earn it. This motherfucker, I don't know what he gets on his pay-per-views. I don't know if that information is public whatsoever. But like, I'd be the fuck out of those things, because I'll be goddamned if you're gonna get $1 of my monies. Because he needs to prove white men are stronger than black men. That's why it's always black people. That's a comment. I didn't say that. That's a comment. I didn't say that. That's a comment. But it is a comment that I read. If Mike snaps to kill him, he should get a pass. I mean, yeah, but like, I want to be very honest with y'all at this point. Every fight this motherfucker done had, I have said, assuredly, this person is going to be the person to do it, right? And so maybe there's something in the contract that says you can't knock him out. You can't really try. I don't know. But he should have been knocked out by now. He is not. And so, like, we keep raising the stakes. And now we done raised it to the ultimate stake, because it's Mike Tyson. out of all the people in the world for you to get hit by, being hit by Mike Tyson is not what I would do for a jug. I don't see the potential upside in surviving a fight with Mike Tyson. I didn't think KSI would beat him. Well, I believe that was the first one, if I'm not mistaken, right? The first one, and I thought that was a square up real boxing match. When it turned into you boxing like boxing legends and fighting legends, then I started to be like, okay, maybe he sees a lane for himself here. But when they started losing those matches, I said, hold on now. This is money laundering. This is money laundering. He's paying them something under the table to take this fall and take this huge hit to their reputation. He gets buoyed by the win, does the same thing, keeps leveling up, and then they're hoping with this one specifically, because it's now sanctioned, that not only will he walk out of here having defeated Mike Tyson in his damn near 60s, but also with one win, being 1-0 in boxing, and that getting him started. My whole thing is like, cool, that's all fine and dandy, but you still are gonna need to fight boxers, right? To do anything of note in boxing. I think seeing the other Paul like do the wrestling thing, and I have a little bit more respect for the wrestling thing, because okay, that you're really actually kind of taking licks and shit, but I don't think you traveling. I don't think you traveling. I don't know. I kind of just want us to go back to a time where if I didn't want to deal with these guys' content, I didn't have to know who they were as people. But influencers are the new rock stars. That's what they want you to think, as they still don't pay people correctly. I thought he did fight a boxer who was the same weight class as him. I think that was the Tommy Fury fight, and he won that one, but it wasn't an official fight. That's what I'm saying. If you want to officially fight, go officially fight. I don't respect that other shit. But either or, man. If nobody has anything else, I'm gonna round up down. For my YouTube audience, super duper appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you comment below any of your thoughts about what we talked about tonight, or if you just have something that happened this month that you think I may have overlooked. It's your boy Captain Trippz. I really do appreciate y'all coming through. Again, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.